The champagne bottle sat unopened on Gerald Morrison's kitchen counter at 11:47 p.m. on New Year's Eve, mocking him with its promise of celebration he had no one to share. 13 minutes until midnight, and the only sound in his small apartment was the radiator's wheeze and the distant echo of parties he wasn't invited to. His phone lay face down beside the bottle, the screen still displaying the message that had arrived 6 hours earlier. "Gerald, you're not welcome at our New Year's party. Your negativity and old-fashioned views don't fit the energy we're cultivating. Please respect our boundaries. Vanessa." Vanessa, his daughter-in-law of 3 years, the woman his son Michael had married in a ceremony that cost more than Gerald's first house. Gerald picked up his phone, reading the message for the dozenth time. Old-fashioned views was code for the crime of suggesting that maybe, just maybe, they shouldn't buy a third investment property when they hadn't visited him in 8 months. Negativity meant he'd asked if they might spend Christmas with him instead of Vanessa's parents in Aspen. Again. At 76, Gerald had attended 54 New Year's Eve celebrations. He'd kissed his late wife Dorothy at midnight under stars and streetlights, in hospital rooms and home kitchens, through good years and lean ones. This was the first he'd spend alone, and the bitterness of it sat heavy in his chest like undigested lead. His laptop chimed with an email notification, probably spam. Everything was spam these days, except the bills and the weekly automated message from Michael. "Hi Dad, hope you're well, things are crazy here, we'll visit soon." They never did. Gerald opened his email anyway, anything to avoid staring at that champagne bottle and feeling like the world's saddest cliché. The sender was listed as Lockwood and Associates, estate attorneys. "Dear Mr. Gerald Morrison, we are writing to inform you that you have been named as the sole beneficiary in the estate of Ms. Dorothy Chen Morrison, your late wife's cousin. Following Ms. Morrison's passing in October and the subsequent settlement of her estate, you are entitled to inheritance, including property holdings, investment portfolios, and liquid assets. We have been attempting to reach you by phone for the past 6 weeks. Please contact our office immediately to arrange transfer of assets totaling approximately $847 million. Gerald read it 3 times. Then he Googled inheritance scam emails and read those for 20 minutes. Then he looked up Lockwood and Associates and found a legitimate Manhattan law firm with a website that had existed since 2003. Then he noticed the phone number at the bottom matched the unknown number that had called him 17 times in the past month. The calls he'd ignored, because who answers unknown numbers anymore except grandparents desperate for contact with grandchildren who never called? His hand trembled as he dialed. Lockwood and Associates, emergency line. The voice was professionally crisp despite the late hour. My name is Gerald Morrison. I received an email about an inheritance. Mr. Morrison, thank God, we've been trying to reach you for weeks. Hold please, I'm transferring you to Mr. Lockwood directly." Gerald's heart hammered. Scammers didn't have emergency lines. Scammers didn't sound annoyed that you'd finally called them. "Mr. Morrison," a new voice, older, authoritative. "James Lockwood, where the hell have you been?" "I'm sorry, I thought it was spam." Everyone thinks everything is spam until they miss out on $800 million. Lockwood's exasperation was palpable. "Your wife's cousin Dorothy Chen Morrison, you did know her, correct?" "Dottie," Gerald's mind reeled. "I knew she moved to California after the funeral. We exchanged Christmas cards for a few years, but we lost touch. That was, 30 years ago." Dorothy Chen Morrison started a tech company in 1989. Small semiconductor firm that got bought by a larger company, which got bought by an even larger company. She invested wisely, never married, and according to her will, she never forgot that you and your wife were the only family members who attended her father's funeral when the rest of the family shunned him. Gerald remembered that funeral, a small affair in Queens for Dorothy's father, who'd been ostracized for marrying outside the family's expectations. He and Dorothy had driven 6 hours in a snowstorm to be there because it was the right thing to do. She left it all to you, Mr. Morrison, everything, but there are time-sensitive tax implications if we don't finalize the transfer before midnight. I'm at my office now. How fast can you get to Midtown Manhattan? Gerald looked at his kitchen clock. 11:51 p.m. I'm in Brooklyn. I can't. I'm sending a car. Be downstairs in 3 minutes. We can do the preliminary signing in the vehicle. Mr. Morrison, do you understand what I'm telling you? You're about to become one of the wealthiest individuals in New York State, but only if you move right now. Gerald moved. He grabbed his coat, his wallet, his phone, and actually ran, his arthritic knees screaming protest, down 4 flights of stairs because the elevator in his rent-controlled building hadn't worked properly since the Carter administration. A black SUV was already idling at the curb, and a man in a suit emerged with a tablet and an expression of profound relief. Mr. Morrison, I'm with Lockwood and Associates. We need your signature on approximately 40 documents in the next 7 minutes. Gerald climbed into the SUV, and the vehicle lurched into New York traffic, while a lawyer he'd never met thrust papers and a stylus at him, explaining concepts like irrevocable trusts and tax-advantage transfers, while the city blurred past outside. At 11:58 p.m., Gerald signed the final document. At 11:59 p.m., James Lockwood, who joined them via video call on the tablet, said, "Congratulations, Mr. Morrison. You're now worth approximately $847 million. Happy New Year." At midnight, fireworks exploded over Manhattan, and Gerald Morrison sat in the back of a luxury SUV, watching people kiss and celebrate through tinted windows, and felt absolutely nothing. Then his phone rang. "Michael." Gerald stared at the screen. His son hadn't actually called, not texted, in 4 months. "Dad, Happy New Year." Michael's voice was bright, slightly slurred. Party sounds cascaded in the background. "Listen, I know Vanessa sent that message earlier, but she was just stressed about the party planning. You know how she gets. We'd love for you to come by tomorrow for brunch. Vanessa's making mimosas." Gerald's finger hovered over the accept button. Then he thought about sitting alone at 11:47 p.m. with an unopened champagne bottle. He thought about old-fashioned views and negativity, and 3 years of steadily diminishing contact, punctuated by requests for loans Michael never repaid. "I'm afraid I can't make it tomorrow," Gerald said calmly. "Oh, okay, well, maybe next week." "I'll be busy next week, and the week after. I'm making some life changes, Michael." "Dad, are you okay? You sound weird." Gerald looked at the lawyer sitting across from him, who was tactfully pretending not to listen, while simultaneously recording every word for what were undoubtedly excellent legal reasons. "I'm better than okay, but I think we need to have a serious conversation about our relationship. Not now, you're at a party, but soon. A real conversation, not a text message." "Is this about Vanessa's message, Dad? She didn't mean." "She meant every word, son, but that's not entirely the point. The point is that you let her send it. You've let a lot of things slide for a long time now." Silence on the other end. "Then, I don't understand what you want from me." "I want you to want to see me, not because it's obligatory or because your wife finally decides I'm acceptable. I want to matter to you the way you matter to me." "You do matter." "Then act like it, and we'll talk soon, but right now I have things to take care of." Gerald paused. "Oh, and Michael, tell Vanessa her message was received loud and clear. In fact, it might be the most honest communication I've had from either of you in years. I'm almost grateful for it." He hung up before Michael could respond. The lawyer cleared his throat. "The car can take you anywhere you'd like to go, Mr. Morrison. You have several properties available to you immediately. Ms. Morrison's penthouse in Tribeca, a brownstone in Brooklyn Heights, a house in the Hamptons." "Take me home," Gerald said, "to my apartment." "Sir, with respect, you don't need to live in a rent-controlled walk-up anymore." "I know, but tonight I need to sit with this, all of it." The SUV delivered him back to his building at 12:43 a.m. Gerald climbed the 4 flights, slower this time, his knees having lodged their formal complaint, and let himself into his small apartment where the unopened champagne bottle still waited. He popped it open, poured himself a glass, and stood at his window watching Brooklyn celebrate below. His phone buzzed constantly now, text messages flooding in, Michael, Vanessa, numbers he didn't recognize. Word was apparently spreading fast. "Dad, can we talk?" "Gerald, I think there's been a misunderstanding about tonight." "Mr. Morrison, this is Jennifer Vance from the New York Times. We'd love to interview you about your inheritance." Gerald silenced his phone and raised his glass to the window, to the city, to Dorothy Chen Morrison, who'd remembered a kindness from 30 years ago, and to his late wife, who'd taught him that doing the right thing mattered, even when no one was watching. "Happy New Year, Dorothy," he whispered, "both of you." His phone lit up with another message, this one from a number he didn't know. "Mr. Morrison, this is Dr. Patricia Hoffman from Children's Hospital Brooklyn. I understand you recently came into significant resources. We have programs that desperately need funding. Would you be willing to meet?" Gerald smiled, then he typed, "Yes, let's meet next week. I have several ideas." Another message appeared, this one from Vanessa. "Gerald, Michael told me about your windfall. Congratulations. We should celebrate together. Family is so important, don't you think?" Gerald deleted it without responding. But when his phone rang at 1:15 a.m. and Michael's name appeared, not a text this time, an actual call, Gerald let it ring 3 times before answering. "Dad," Michael's voice was different now, smaller. "Can we really talk? Not about the money, about everything." Gerald looked at the half-empty champagne bottle, at the city lights, at the reflection of an old man who'd spent New Year's Eve alone and somehow ended it as a billionaire. "Yes," he said, "we can talk, really talk. But Michael, I need you to understand something. The money changes what I can do. It doesn't change who I am or what I deserve from the people I love. If you and Vanessa want to be in my life, you're going to need to want me, not my bank account." "I do want you," Michael's voice cracked. "I'm so sorry, Dad. I've been a terrible son. Vanessa's message tonight. I should have stopped her. I should have defended you. Instead, he trailed off. "I just let it happen." "Yes," Gerald said quietly, "you did. Can you forgive me?" Gerald thought about Dorothy Chen Morrison, who'd held onto a memory of kindness for 30 years. He thought about his wife, who'd always said that forgiveness wasn't forgetting, it was choosing to build something better from the rubble of what broke. "I can forgive you," Gerald said, "but forgiveness isn't the same as trust. You'll need to earn that back. And Vanessa," he paused, "she'll need to earn the right to be part of my life too, starting with an apology, a real one." "She's here. She wants to talk to you." "Not tonight. Tonight I'm drinking champagne alone in my apartment, and honestly, son, it's exactly what I need. Tomorrow you can call me. Tomorrow we can start figuring out what comes next. But tonight, I'm going to sit here and think about second chances and old grudges and whether $800 million is enough to heal a broken relationship." "Is it?" Michael asked, his voice very small. "No," Gerald said, "but love might be, if it's real, if it's backed up by action, we'll see." He hung up gently and returned to his window. His phone continued buzzing, but Gerald ignored it. The champagne was good, probably wasted on his unsophisticated palate, but good nonetheless. At 76 years old, Gerald Morrison had become a billionaire overnight. But the real fortune he was discovering was the clarity that came with knowing exactly who cared about you when you had nothing, and who suddenly appeared when you had everything. Outside, Brooklyn celebrated. Inside, an old man raised his glass to the future and decided that tomorrow he'd start living like someone who knew his worth. And that worth had nothing to do with the number in his bank account.